up, motherfuckers? It's the hater here with your TLC review, motherfuckers. TLC review. You know what I mean? If you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, and share the haters' videos, and become part of the family. You understand what I'm saying? The family. So without further ado, let's get to this show. You know, I actually had a lot of hope for this show, and some good things happened, and some bad things happened, as usual. However, in this case, I will say that there were quite a few good things. I'm not going to lie. There were quite a few good things, conceptually at least. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was also a pre-show, but I didn't watch that, you know what I'm saying? But apparently on the pre-show, it was Big E, Daniel Bryan, Chad Gable, and Otis. Now think about those four people, all right? Otis was the Money in the Bank winner. Daniel Bryan has main evented WrestleMania, and now is on the pre-show. Big E is, well, at least was, supposed to be this big main event type guy, you know, that was getting pushed. On the other side of the match, we have King Corbin, who won the King of the Ring. Sami Zayn, current Intercontinental Champion. Cesaro, I don't have much to say about him. I mean, he won the Andre the Giant, the prestigious Andre the Giant Battle Royal, you know what I mean? And he's a multiple-time tag team champion, and he's awesome. And then we have Nakamura, obviously a failure, a pre-show guy now. Let's call it what it is, right? So we have, out of eight of these people, about half of them were at some point pinged to be like the next big thing. You know, think about it. Nakamura was supposed to be the next big thing. Daniel Bryan was obviously supposed to be the next big thing. Big E, former NXT champion as well. Otis, you know what I mean? These people are just pre-show jobbers. Let's call it like it is, right? Finally. So this, I consider this to be a good thing. Daniel Bryan on the pre-show is a good thing in my opinion because Daniel Bryan sucks. You know what I mean? I'm sick and tired of people saying this guy's great. Daniel Bryan is boring, all right? Daniel Bryan is a jobber. If it wasn't for the fact that he spent like 25 years in the indies, nobody would care about this guy at all. People would care about him the same way they care about Drew Gulak, who also spent a lot of time in the indies, by the way. You know what I mean? There's nothing exciting about Daniel Bryan, but I will give him props. The Yes Movement thing, you know, that was pretty cool. I mean, not cool in the sense of that it was good, but like, he did get it over, you know what I mean? So I gotta give him props, motherfuckers. So next up, we have this surprised me very much. I thought it was gonna be the main event. I realize now why it wasn't, but this was the main event, in my opinion, right? Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles with Almost. Now, I don't care about this match because I knew that AJ Styles had zero chance of winning. However, as I was watching it, near the end, let's just say near the end, right? Near the end, The Miz cashes in his Money in the Bank, right? He power bombs Drew McIntyre through a table while AJ Styles is laying outside. So now I'm thinking, climb up, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So he starts climbing up, Almost comes in for no reason and attacks The Miz, throws him through a table. What Almost did was pretty cool because he grabbed him like a groom grabs a bride, you know what I'm saying? Like he lifted him up in like groom lift, right? And just dropped him, just planted him on a table to the outside from the inside of the ring. Almost is cool because he's big, you know what I'm saying? And then John Morrison hit him with a chair. The chair just exploded on Almost's back. Now, obviously it was a gimmick chair, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty smart to gimmick the chair that way so that it breaks on Almost's back to sell how tough Almost is, you know what I mean? Now, where will this lead? Probably nowhere. Almost sucks. I mean, like, I don't see any ounce of charisma in this guy whatsoever. But it is what it is, you know. He might be a good Great Khali type guy, although he's not really as wide and powerful looking as Great Khali, but he is tall, obviously, right? So, you know, now everyone's in tables, right? They all start climbing up. At this point, I'm losing my mind because, like, I'm starting to see where this is going, right? The Miz is going to get screwed out of his Money in the Bank here by Almost, right? So that's exactly what happens. They keep climbing up the ladders. People keep falling. At a certain point, Drew McIntyre pushes one ladder with another ladder, causing AJ Styles to topple all the way to the floor. Miz topples into the ring. He turns around, Claymore. Drew McIntyre with one leg, because AJ Styles had been working on his leg the entire match, with one leg, which obviously begs the question, why didn't he just destroy both legs when he had the opportunity to do so with a calf crusher, you know? He hops up and grabs the title. Now, the good things about this match were that the match itself wasn't bad. You know what I mean? The match had moments of excitement. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? The match had some moments of excitement. Specifically, you know, turning around The Miz and the fact that he cashed in his Money in the Bank. That's always exciting. You know what I mean? But I have something to say about that, motherfuckers. Something to say about that I don't think anyone's ever really talked about. You know what I mean? And the thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of Money in the Bank is why is it, like, since Seth Rollins did what he did at WrestleMania, I believe it was WrestleMania 30, right? Since that happened, the rules have kind of changed for Money in the Bank. Like, the Money in the Bank contract is supposed to give you a title shot, right? And I think in the beginning, when they first started, it was supposed to give you a one-on-one title shot at any moment you want, right? Seth Rollins used it to change the main event of WrestleMania 30 from a singles match to a triple threat match. Miz did the same thing here, right? He interrupted the match and then changed it to a triple threat Money in the Bank match. I mean, whatever, TLC match, right? And then he climbed up and was going to try to get the thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem very logical for the Money in the Bank to be used to kind of interrupt an ongoing match. That's ridiculous, you know? Because by that logic, I can just have the Money in the Bank, go to the Royal Rumble, you know, and be like, all right, now this is a lumberjack match. Everyone has to get out of the ring or whatever, you know, set up some stupid stipulation and ruin the Royal Rumble, right? Or obviously ruin the WrestleMania main event like Rollins did. I don't really like that, right? And also, from a kayfabe perspective, this made absolutely no sense. You know what I mean? The Miz coming in, right? This only would have been justified if the Miz won. Like, if this happened and then the Miz climbed up and got the title, right? And it would have been a successful cash-in, so you wouldn't have to worry about the little details. But this made absolutely no sense for a variety of reasons. Number one, right? Why is Miz doing this during the match? You know? During the match. Like, all that happened was Drew McIntyre was climbing a ladder and he was a little beat up. He wasn't even laid out. You know what I mean? The more logical thing to do would be to have this match play out, right? See who's dead, and then go after that person if they're the champion, or wait. This was not a smart cash-in, right? Especially considering the fact that you're making it a triple threat match, right? Which means you have a greater opportunity to lose. Now, I understand he picked this moment, but it wasn't a great moment to pick, you know? And that's inexcusable. The only way to ensure that the moment is picked correctly is to make sure that the person who's Money in the Bank becomes the champion, right? Otherwise, you just wasted like a year of buildup, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I don't care about that. The worst part of this match was Omos and how he made absolutely no sense. First of all, AJ Styles is getting his ass kicked, right? Drew McIntyre is climbing up to get the title, right? The Miz interrupts him, right? And then the Miz is the one who's climbing up and then almost kills the Miz. Why didn't Omos just go in and slam Drew McIntyre, you know, and have AJ Styles win? Furthermore, there was a moment in time when Omos was the only person that was breathing. Why didn't Omos just go up, grab the title for AJ Styles, and hand it to him? You know what I mean? Making him the champion if he's the associate of AJ Styles. This makes no sense, right? I honestly thought that Omos' height was going to come into play here somehow. Like maybe he was going to get AJ Styles in like a piggyback type situation, and that's why AJ Styles was going to win. Or maybe while he's doing that, Drew McIntyre does like a Claymore. And I did skip some parts of the match. So if there was a spot where he piggybacks AJ Styles, then I'm wrong. But I didn't see one. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really like Omos' involvement. Right? I also didn't like how he went off and chased John Morrison. As if John Morrison did something. I mean, John Morrison hit him with a chair. Right? But in the context of the match, you want to ensure that your guy wins, right? And he just left. You know, what he should have done is done whatever finisher he has on Drew McIntyre, slammed the Miz through another table, and that could have been that. You know what I mean? So there you have it. Yeah? Almost kind of ruined this match, and I didn't really care about the fact that the Miz got screwed, or not screwed, I guess, but lost his opportunity. You know, I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was very fitting for the Miz to be in the main event, and Miz deserves better than this. I gotta say that, motherfucks. Next, we have Sasha Banks versus Carmella with Reginald, who is like her sommelier, I believe, right? I haven't really been watching this feud much, to be honest. Sasha Banks, I saw the match. It wasn't a horrible match. Sasha Banks wins with like the bank statement, kind of, but it's more like a crossface. You know, she didn't do like the setup to it, but whatever. We'll call it the bank statement, right? She wins. I don't really see the point of Sasha Banks winning here. I mean, she's been like champion several times this year, and she sucks. Let's be honest. Sasha Banks, first of all, she looked really weird during TLC. I don't know what it was, right? Her eyes or something around her eyes was really weird. Carmella's like decent in the ring too. I mean, I'm not a fan of Carmella. I'm not gonna pretend here and like sit here and pretend that like it's like some injustice, but I don't really like Sasha Banks. I think she sucks. I think the gimmick is outdated now. It's like a 10-year-old gimmick, but it doesn't feel like it's a 10-year-old gimmick. So it was what it was. Next up, we had a great match. The Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander and Benjamin versus The New Day. During this match, I couldn't help but thinking, During the invariable Kofi Kingston 2-on-1 situation that happens in every New Day match, right? Where Kofi Kingston just counters and counters and counters like 17 moves, and he can only be overcome if the two people work together, right? During this time, I couldn't help but think, what's so special about Kofi Kingston? Now, I know I talk a lot of shit about Kofi Kingston because I don't like him, you know what I'm saying? I think he's garbage. I think he's horrible in every way. But there was a point where he was wrestling one-on-one with Shelton Benjamin. And there was a point where Shelton Benjamin was kind of like the Kofi, right? When he was getting that push, he came out of World's Greatest Tag Team as like the Shawn Michaels, Charlie Haas was it Charlie Jannetty, you know what I mean? Charlie Jannetty. We should just call him Charlie Jannetty, right? He was the Marty Jannetty. So what I'm thinking here is exactly that, motherfuckers. I'm thinking that this guy, Shelton Benjamin that is, should have gotten the push that Kofi got. I couldn't help but think that, right? Because it's like, you watch them wrestle, like, Shelton Benjamin is probably like 5, 6, 7 years older than Kofi, right? But I still think he's more athletic. Like, I think Shelton Benjamin now is more athletic than Kofi Kingston in his prime. You know what I mean? Shelton Benjamin is incredible, right? He looks great. Like, he's muscular and strong looking, right? He's athletic. And even though he's older now, at one point, right, when he was slated to be the future, it could have been him. And I don't want to hear this horseshit about charisma, right? I'm not saying that Shelton Benjamin is the most charismatic guy in the world. He's like not really good at promos, and I get that. You know what I mean? That's why they put Mama Benjamin. Remember Mama Benjamin? Like with him. But I will say this. Though. It's not like Kofi Kingston is like great either. You know what I mean? Kofi Kingston's not charismatic. You could have easily taken Shelton Benjamin and put him in the New Day. I understand this would be a prostitution of Shelton Benjamin as a human being because I don't think he's like a goof anime nerd, right? Whereas Kofi Kingston and those other guys are. But hey, it is what it is. You gotta do it for the title, motherfucker. So this match just made me think of that, right? Kofi Kingston's out there just like sloppily countering all of Shelton Benjamin's moves. Shelton Benjamin is doing incredible things. You know, first of all, this was incredible. Kofi Kingston goes for the boom drop, and as he's going New Day, when he jumps, Shelton Benjamin springs up and catches him in powerbomb, right? And doesn't just like slam him. He holds him and he carries him to do a double team finisher with Cedric Alexander, right? And I mean, Kofi Kingston counters, but he still holds on to him in like an electric chair, right? And then Kofi Kingston just basically has everything handed to him. Like, I don't understand the allure of Kofi Kingston. Shelton Benjamin is a million times cooler and a million times better. And Shelton Benjamin should have been, I'm saying it right now, motherfuckers, should have been WWE champion at some point. You know what I mean? At some point. He deserves way better than this, right? Speaking of way better, Cedric Alexander has been impressing me lately, right? I think it's because he's been winning his matches, you know? And that's what I like to see. I like to see people winning their matches. Now, I don't like the direction that Cedric Alexander's character is going, which seems to me to be this like overly arrogant, like I'm the best one here, you know, type of character. He doesn't really fit in with the Hurt Business because he's a young guy and they're all like older dudes, right? But it is what it is. Hopefully they change it. But long story short, the match ended with an awesome finish, right? Like the finish generally was pretty awesome. So I think it was Xavier Woods and Shelton Benjamin in the match, right? They're wrestling. Eventually, what's his face? Cedric Alexander gets a tag. Shelton Benjamin kicks Xavier in the face, which allows Cedric Alexander to do the little like springboard kick to the face thing that he does. You know, like the little handstand, like springboard tajiri thing, but with a kick. Kicks him in the face. Shelton Benjamin hits pay dirt, right? This begins the downfall of the New Day. Then, as shit's going on, it's Shelton versus Kofi. Kofi kicks and climbs to the top turnbuckle. Shelton Benjamin does the little thing where he jumps to the top of the turnbuckle and does like a belly to belly. And this time it was like a hatch suplex. He has a hatch suplex from Kofi from the top rope. Then he gets ready to like finish him, maybe with a pay dirt. But Cedric Alexander tags in, just runs in, hits the lumbar check, and wins, right? That was great. Now, not the Cedric Alexander part. I don't give a shit about that. I really like the fact that Shelton Benjamin hit the pay dirt on Xavier, and Shelton Benjamin was ready to finish Kofi Kingston, and it was presented as if Cedric Alexander stole the victory from him, right? I understand. Cedric is a younger guy. You want to put your eggs in the basket of the younger guy. But I really do believe that Shelton Benjamin has a higher ceiling than Cedric Alexander, even now, motherfuckers, even now. So I would like to see Cedric Alexander versus Shelton Benjamin at one point, with Shelton Benjamin winning the match clean. That's what I want to see, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we had Asuka, and Charlotte Flair was her partner. Woo! So you already knew what was going to happen here. Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. In the end, predictably, Charlotte Flair hits the natural selection of Shayna Baszler. I knew that neither of them was going to take like a submission loss because I feel like something weird is going to happen. Like Charlotte's going to give the title to like Lana, or they're going to lose it again. I actually was enjoying Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as tag team champions. I don't know, their dynamic is I don't say interesting, but it's different, right? It's new. So I was really enjoying that, but I did not like this match very much because for the same reason why I didn't like most of these matches. Notice what I said. Like, everyone knew Sasha Banks was going to win. But that one, there was a chance that Carmella could have won, right? Everyone knew once Charlotte Flair came out that Charlotte and Asuka are going to win, obviously. You know what I mean? Drew McIntyre, you knew he was going to win, but kudos to them for injecting the Miz into that. And speaking of you knew what was going to happen, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens happened next. I didn't even watch this match. I skipped around, and the only thing I remember is in the end, Roman Reigns does a little choke, the little guillotine choke on top of the ladder, and grabs the title, wins the match. There was zero chance Kevin Owens is going to win this match. Absolutely zero chance. Obviously, Roman Reigns is going to take this to WrestleMania. That's the only thing that makes sense, right? Drew McIntyre at this point might take it to WrestleMania. Who knows, right? Then next up, we had a match that I am feeling very weird about. You know what I'm saying? This match had a lot of things that I hate, but it had a few things that I like. You know? But I will give credit where credit's due. A lot of people are saying this match was horrible, but I kind of enjoyed it, and here's why I enjoyed it. First of all, I was going to skip it. My plan was to skip it till the end and see the finish, much like I did with Roman Reigns, right? But then I remembered, one thing about The Fiend that I do like is that The Fiend's matches are interesting. You know, the actual match itself with The Fiend is interesting because they're either very short matches, I mean, obviously discounting garbage like the John Cena Firefly Funhouse nonsense, right? But when The Fiend has real matches, they're fun because The Fiend no-sells everything, right? So it's like you're not going to have rest holds. You're not going to have moments where everyone's like laying down. You're going to have people just destroying each other. And this was exactly that. Now, I saw Randy Orton come in and he was wearing like clothes, right? So I'm like, okay, he's going to be the one that is going to get burned, you know, because he's wearing clothes. It makes sense. It's easier to burn the clothes. You can do something with it, right? But then I'm like, nah, they could have done that to throw me off, right? The Fiend's wearing clothes too, you know? So the match starts. It goes on relatively fast. Bray Wyatt hits the sister Abigail, and eventually he does this thing, like he pretty much copies Kane and does like a thing where he summons the flames. All of a sudden the flames light up. This was really corny and really cringy, right? Because the implications were that he summoned them, but you can see the little flamethrowers, you can see the contraptions that are creating the flame. You know what I mean? There was nothing there, right, that was special. So it was what it was, but it was a cool sight, the Fiend summoning the flames. Then the match kept going. Eventually, they end up on the outside. Randy Orton just destroys the Fiend on the outside, beats him with an axe handle. Bray Wyatt gets the axe handle, lights it on fire, right? Tries to hit Randy Orton, misses, whatever. Randy Orton hits like the apron DDT, but to the outside. Then he picks up the stairs. Some other shit goes down. Randy Orton's on the outside, waiting to go for the RKO. This is where the match gets interesting. It gets fun, in my opinion, right? So Randy Orton is waiting for the RKO. He goes for it on the outside. Bray Wyatt puts the mandible claw in his mouth, right? And starts, maneuvering Randy Orton towards the fire, like towards like the ramp. There's like a fire, right, with like little flamethrowers. So he starts maneuvering Orton over there. Orton just turns around, right? He just turns him around and then puts the Fiend closer to the fire. Then, as a result of clever camera tricks, they cut to a situation where the Fiend is on fire. Now, this probably wasn't Bray Wyatt. This probably was some sort of stuntman. And of course, he was wearing some sort of protective clothing. But nonetheless, this person, if it was Bray Wyatt or a stunt person, was someone that was on fire. So that's pretty badass. I don't care what people say. This person was on fire. You know, he ran into the ring and he got RKO'd. This was a really cool sight, and I did not know what was going to happen, right? Because Bray Wyatt was on fire, but because you can't see his face, he was basically no-selling it. You know what I mean? He was no-selling it. So he was running in. So I'm like, all right, either Randy Orton's going to like RKO him, which is what happened, or Bray Wyatt is going to just jump and hit like a sister Abigail while he's on fire and no-sell the fire. Now, that would have been bad because you can't have someone lose to a few spears from 59-year-old Goldberg and then kick out of being on fire. That would have been ridiculous, right? Fire in wrestling tends to be like the end of it, right? The end of the match, right? The end of any match that involves fire will get it done. Being slammed through a flaming table will get it done. You know, lighting someone on fire will get it done. And by that I mean, you can't kick out of that. Nobody kicks out of fire, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So Randy Orton, I guess, won the match because he was on fire. But I'm like, what the hell's going on, right? Then Randy Orton goes and gets the little gas can they were using and douses Bray Wyatt in lighter fluid, right? Now I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is retarded, right? Obviously, he's not going to light him on fire. You know what I mean? That's preposterous, right? Like, that's not even, they shouldn't even be showing this on TV. It's a little disturbing if you ask your boy, right? But I will say this. I thought, they got me. I thought that while he was doing that, you know, he went to get a match, and I thought that while he was holding the match, Bray Wyatt would get up and just hit him with a Sister Abigail or Mandible Claw. You know what I mean? Like, he would win. I thought Bray Wyatt was going to win the match somehow, right? Or at least get the last laugh, you know? But no, what happened was Randy Orton lit Bray Wyatt on fire. Now, obviously, this was extremely stupid, right? First of all, the most glaringly obvious, I mean, aside from the fact that obviously they wouldn't light a human being on fire, but the most glaring difference between Bray Wyatt and the dummy that they replaced him with to light on fire is the fact that the dummy had no belly, right? The dummy was like a normal dummy. It was like a skinny guy dummy. But Bray Wyatt is a pig, you know? So like Bray Wyatt, as you see Bray Wyatt being doused, it was still him because you could see him breathing and you could see his stomach, his rotund stomach, right? But then when Randy Orton lights the mannequin on fire, it's obviously not Bray Wyatt. Which, of course, I understand. No one is saying here, put the real Bray Wyatt there and light him on fire, right? Obviously. The fact that it's a mannequin is irrelevant. Wrestling is fake. We all know that, right? And this, I thought, was great because they used, like, the pandemic to their advantage, right? You couldn't do this with a live crowd. So this is the kind of shit that you should do during the pandemic, right? Things like light someone on fire and have him run in to get RKO'd. Things that you're never going to be able to do with an audience. And that's one thing that I give credit to the WWE for, right? However, I can't get past the fact that this was extremely stupid, right? Because, like, there comes a point where the stupidity of an event is so high that it cannot be justified anymore. This is one of those instances. Not because the dummy, right? But because he lit Bray Wyatt on fire after RKOing him. Think about that. If someone is lit on fire, even if they're passed out, they're going to start squirming and struggling and suffering, right? They're not going to just lay there like an asshole because the RKO knocked them out, right? This was, in my opinion, the biggest oversight of this whole thing, aside from, of course, the fact that no one's going to get burned alive on pay-per-view, right? But I will say this. I like the fact that Randy Orton won because I thought that if Randy Orton lost, this would ruin the whole feud they had at WrestleMania a few years back. And I will say this, the match was not super enjoyable, but it was good. It was entertaining. Like, because you don't know what's going to happen, that's what makes it entertaining. You know, people are like, oh, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens had a great match. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I didn't even watch it, right? But what am I going to watch? I know that what's going to happen is Roman Reigns is going to come in, Kevin Owens is going to whoop his ass, Jey Uso is going to make an appearance at some point, right? Kevin Owens is going to win, is going to lose, likely screwed by Uso, right? So what the hell am I going to do? You know, what's the point of that, right? Whereas in this match, first of all, you have an interesting stipulation of being burned alive, right? So that's kind of cool. It's already inherently interesting. Then you have the idea of like, dude, the Fiend is obviously not working out, so Randy Orton might actually win, right? Because Randy Orton is I'm expecting Randy Orton to do big things at WrestleMania. Big things, motherfuckers. I'm expecting Randy Orton versus Edge to main event. I don't know how. Either Edge wins the Rumble or Orton wins the Rumble. I don't know. But I'm expecting that to be the main event for the title. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Drew McIntyre to drop that son of a bitch next week or something. I don't know. You know? And the most important thing about this match, well, the second most important thing about this match, is that it makes you want to watch Raw, right? It makes you want to know what happened. Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what Randy Orton's going to say. But by far the best thing is hopefully this is the end of Bray Wyatt. Or at least the end of the Fiend. I am sick of this guy, right? The Fiend sucks, all right? Let's say it like it is. This guy is just a fat dude who actually is pretty good in the ring, I'm not going to lie, but he just reinvents himself, quote unquote, several times over, right? And then loses. He beats a bunch of jobbers. He beats Seth Rollins, who's now feuding with Murphy, you know what I mean? He beats Seth Rollins, but then when a real man like Goldberg or Randy Orton come along, it's the end of the day for the Fiend. You know, in my opinion, the only thing better than this for the Fiend would have been John Cena beating him clean at WrestleMania, unmasking him, and taking a shit right on his mask. That's the only thing that would have been better. You know, this was a close second. Randy Orton completely emasculating him, completely ruining the illusion of the Fiend, the fantasy of the Fiend, and setting him ablaze. That was great. It was symbolic in two ways. It was symbolic, one, because he burned the Fiend, just like he burned the compound, right? But in my opinion, it's symbolic in a different and better way. It's symbolic to the fact that the Fiend is a recyclable loser. He sucks. Bray Wyatt sucks. He's never been interesting. The Wyatt family was interesting for like 1 week. 1 week. Yep, we're here. Da, da, da. They attacked Kane. You know what I'm saying? I thought they could do something important. They attacked Kane, who was like losing to like Daniel Bryan every week. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is this. The Fiend can now rest in peace, and he can go and repackage himself as a dancing character with a comedy gimmick or some other horse shit. You know, just give him anything but this. Or, in my opinion, like I said, just call him, not Bray Wyatt, but call him something else, and have his character be kind of like Goldust, or whatever, Dustin Rhodes, right? After the Seven. Remember the character of Seven that they keep talking about, right? Where he was like given this like serial killer, whatever. It was like a different version of Goldust, basically, right? But it would have been better to do with Bray Wyatt what they did with Goldust back in the day. And that is, have Bray Wyatt come out on Raw and say, you know what? I'm sick of playing these stupid-ass roles, right? I'm sick of hanging out with hand puppets, right? Because creative wants me to. I'm done with this, all right? I am a tough dude, all right? I'm tired of these bullshit matches. I'm tired of these Firefly funhouses. You know, I'm a serious dude. And then he just comes out and just beats the shit out of like Bo Dallas or some jabron like that, right? But with like a grounded moveset, none of this horse shit of like doing like, you know, the little spider crawls and all that stuff. That's the only way to salvage this guy, right? You can, of course, rehash this again, you know? Like, you have the Fiend. Next month, you can have the Abomination or the Monstrosity or something, right? But it's the same shit. I've been saying this since day one. The Fiend is the same thing as normal Bray Wyatt. He's a scary guy that makes absolutely no sense and gets his ass beat by Randy Orton. That is his career, motherfucks. That's his career. And I don't want to hear any of this horseshit about how he's deep and it's great character work. I went on Twitter last night by accident because I Googled Bray Wyatt just to see what people were saying. And one of the things that they were saying was that, oh, Bray Wyatt's dead, which we can only hope is the case, kayfabe-wise, of course, right? Then Bray Wyatt's Twitter, which shouldn't be active because he should be dead, right, is a picture of this caterpillar, not a caterpillar. It's like a mollusk of some sort, right? It's some sort of like insect that evolves. Maybe it was a caterpillar, you know? So basically, the implications being that he will reinvent himself again. He's going back into the cocoon to come out a new butterfly, right? I'm tired of this. This is not interesting, right? It's the same fucking cocoon and the same shitty butterfly. First, it's a guy that comes out and says absolutely nothing about Sister Abigail and, oh, she found me. She saved me. She saved. Join us, Randy. Join us. Randy Orton joins, beats the shit out of them from within, right? Burns that compound to the ground, and you think it's over, right? No. Now he's back as a children's character, and now he's the Fiend. You know, after he was thrown into the lake of reincarnation by Matt Hardy and became a comedy character for like a few months, now he's the Fiend. And we're supposed to be afraid of the Fiend. No, motherfuckers. People can be afraid of the Fiend. Like, there's people in the roster that should be afraid of the Fiend. Like Shannon Moore, like that level of wrestler, should be afraid of the Fiend. Maybe like Elias. That should be it, you know? But beyond that, people like Randy Orton should have nothing to fear from the Fiend because Randy Orton is like a sadistic dude who is worse than the Fiend historically. He's like burned the Undertaker in the casket, all these other things, right? They could also pull an Undertaker with him. They could just bring the Fiend back. All the fire didn't do anything. But the problem is this, motherfucks. I don't think it's going to happen because he is not at the level of Undertaker, right? He's not as interesting and he's not as well-liked. So with Undertaker, you have to do that because you can't just throw away the Undertaker, but you can easily throw away the Fiend. The Fiend is not great. The Fiend sucks, all right? And I'm glad that Randy Orton beat him. The only thing left now is for Randy Orton to come out on Raw and Alexa Bliss to come out and be like, oh, I'm back to being my normal self, right? And she can just to explain her away. And then Randy Orton can say, now that I've destroyed the Fiend, right, it's time that I get back what's mine. Now, this would be better if Drew McIntyre wasn't champion because nobody wants to see Drew versus Randy again. But it's time for Randy Orton to win the title if you're going to have a main event at WrestleMania. That's what I can say about that. The show, I will say, was actually not bad considering that they did so much to save it. The worst match of the night, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. I didn't even watch it. Best match, either Hurt Business versus New Day, or it could be Orton versus The Fiend because that was pretty great too, I'm not going to lie. In its own way, motherfuckers.